For events, go to our website, WGNSradio.com, and click the events page. And for now, those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
We're News Radio WGNS 100.5, 101.9, 1450. Online and on your phone at WGNSradio.com. Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSradio.com.
Rutherford Issues is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Are you looking at solar energy power generation? Well, MTE offers a free consultation with an energy expert and has an entire library of educational resources. Learn more at mte.com/prosolar. We're catching up with Rutherford County School Board Chairman Tammy Sharp, and a lot going on. You're thinking, how's there a lot going on? School's out. That doesn't mean that there aren't things going on for the next year and planning, and also a look back at the previous year we had. So that's kind of where we're going to be today. Tammy, how are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, going to be a very informative program here, I think, today as we look back. The fiscal year, I guess, draws to a close, January or July or June 30th?
Monday. Yeah, Monday they're going to sign the final budget at 9 o'clock. So everybody's kind of excited about that. There's still some discussion with the county commissioners and everything. We had a school board meeting last night, so I didn't get to attend that meeting. But as far as the school system is concerned, we're finished with our budget. And
that means what the additions, I guess, are approved in that particular fiscal year budget for next year?
Yes.
Okay.
And maybe, I think Dr. Sullivan told me last night, or told everyone last night, that there may have been some money in there for a school at the Beatty property.
So in the Blackman
that may have included that. And I signed the paperwork last night for the closing for the Beatty property. So it's almost finished. So we've got some more property and we got a great area now. We just have to fund that school.
Yeah,
so.
And there's really no certain plans on what type of school that would be, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school or anything like that yet?
Not yet. The board has not decided. There has been some discussions, but we have not 100% voted and decided exactly what we're going to put there.
Mm-hmm.
So
I did, I believe it was Dr. Sullivan. I don't want to put words in his mouth on this program once before, saying, we have this opportunity to look at the schools, whether it's a K-5, a 6 through 8 middle school, or a high school 9 through 12, or maybe it's a 6 through 12 school or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a comprehensive school.
We need all of the above.
Yeah.
We need all of the above. And I know that there's been some other property that has brought forth. I don't think the board has seen it. And look, anybody out there listen, if y'all have any property in the Smyrna, especially in Laverne, we really need another high school in Laverne. Anywhere in the county, we need you to bring it forward to us. We would love to continue to do the 3 campuses, but the land is just not available anymore to do that.
Yeah.
So we're at the point where we're really taking the best of what's out there.
What is a minimum acreage to just build a campus? I guess it's different for each school.
It's I think it's about 125 acres. So, and it just depends if there's any wetlands on there, or if we do a step system, or if we're hooked into the city sewer and water.
So many acres for an elementary school?
That would be for like a 3 campus school, like
okay.
Stewart's Creek.
Yeah.
Stewart's Creek. So 35 would probably be like a minimum, 35 or 40, somewhere around there, depending on what is on that property.
Yeah, I would say that it's hard to find 100 plus acres.
Oh, it absolutely is. We know of some, and we're trying to bend some ears on them, but they're not budging yet. So,
well, I know that there's always a look ahead, so much so that sometimes we lose focus on the successes that we have had, and I know you kind of wanted to touch on some of those this year, and it was a big year of change in Rutherford County schools, including the salary study that means more money for teachers and educators.
Right. Our teachers received a 5% raise, and everyone got a raise across the board. We did some alignment as far as departments and job titles and everything. We really brought it from probably the 1980s up to the 21st century. And last night we voted on some more job titles, but since I've been on the board, we've given our teachers really good raises, and we want to do that because that goes a long way in retaining them, and we want to pay them for their experience, and we want them to stay. So we also did the zoning study and the enrollment analysis. I think we talked about the enrollment analysis before, that we're expecting 7,000 more students between now and 2026. I suspect it'll be closer to 10,000 by the time 26 is here, because we did not see a downturn in enrollments on the north end of the county throughout the school. So usually when Labor Day rolls around, East and West Coast thinks we don't go to school until then. So they come in and they start enrolling. But so we usually have a drop off right after that, a couple of weeks after that. But we have continuously seen enrollment, sometimes an average 1 to 2 a day on the north end of the county. So that would be Stewart's Creek Elementary and Roy Waldron. So on the east and the west side of 24.
Oh my goodness. Coming
from Davidson County. So they're still coming in. They're still coming.
And those are kids who maybe started the year in Davidson County and transferred and moved?
They did, yeah, and they finished up. And the lucky thing for us when they do that is because we get funding from the state, and it's basically who's there at the last day. So it's not in arrears, sort of like it was before when we'd have to wait till the next year to get the extra money.
So it's not a school enrollment in September. You wait until the end of the school year, and whatever that total is.
Whatever that date is, yes.
So Davidson County lost that money in this case, and Rutherford County gained that.
Right. So, which is right, because if the student's not there, and that falls in line more with the TISA funding the new funding that we have, that just follows the child. So if the student leaves, Stewart's Creek and goes to Eagleville or something like that, that money's going to follow that child to that school. So Stewart's Creek no longer really needs that money for that. And there's a lot of arguments back and forth on, but they still got brick and mortar and things like that. But I think that funding, it may be a little fairer to our students, because it will give bumps for students who have English language learning, may have 504 or SPED or something like that. So I think there's up to 5 different categories in the weighted category that they can get bumps for.
Now, what is 504?
Per students. 504, like my son had a 504 because his handwriting was horrendous.
Oh, okay.
And they allowed him to do his homework on an iPad. So it's just sort of a formal exception to what they're doing, and it could be
a wide range of things.
It could be a wide range of things. I mean, something very simple like that to something extensive like that would go in with an IEP, an individualized education plan. So it's I know we got more funding this year because of TISA, and I think that's going to help us with our SPED and our special needs and our ESL. We've talked about before our English second language, our ELL, English language learners. Sorry, there's a lot of acronyms, but that's going to go a long way with us helping them assimilate into the school, which helps them learn better and faster, and it also helps our district as far as their grades. So it could roll into extra money for us in the long run if our scores are good.
Yeah. Tammy Sharp is with us, Rutherford County School Board Chair, and you mentioned Waldron and Stewart's Creek Elementary and the additions there, and you just have to think, though, if they were adding like one a day, whatever their capacity was, they added so many students, and yes, the funding follows, but you've got to have a place for that child to sit in a classroom too. So that's a challenge.
Well, and that's the thing, because we get funding from different places, the feds, the state, and then we get local funding. So when we get funds from the state, that doesn't fund our brick and mortar. That's on the locals, that's on a county level. So, everybody says, oh, you get so much money, but, anymore, our building and our impact fees that we have here in the county, $1,500, or I think it's $750 per apartment. That's not, we're in the hole every time we get a student here as far as brick and mortar. So we may have money for operations, but we got to have a seat for them as well. There's even just trying to get your mind around a way to catch up with
the growth with buildings, it's just mind-blowing, the process and the years of planning that it takes just to get one off the ground. I mean, how long have we been on this Beatty farm? It's been a long time.
It seems like forever.
Yeah.
I think it's been over a year, because I think the previous board, before the election of August of last year, I think we started with that.
But by the time there's ground broken on that property,
right.
it's going to be
and
several
so
years.
we're almost up to another election in August of next year. But I know that there was some consternation with my support for charter schools, but one of the reasons was clearly financial, because the charter schools, they are public schools, they are free schools, but those charter schools who come in here and that are authorized underneath Rutherford County Schools, we receive their grades, but they're responsible for the brick and mortar. They're responsible for the property. So that up front, we don't have to pay for. Now they're going to, like TISA, if our student leaves and goes to a charter school, that money's going to follow them. But we're the counties, the taxpayers are not on the hook for the brick and mortar or the property that they build.
So just to dig down into that just a little bit more, it would take several charter schools to even put a dent in the population, it would seem to me, but every little bit helps, I guess.
It's not it's not a one pill cure.
They're not going to have a 3,000 student campus.
No, because I think the most probably they'll have, the 3 that are approved for Rutherford County will probably be about 1,200 once they're totally built out. Because all three. Each school. Mm-hmm. So they usually start K through 5, and then they build a school grade every year. So however long that takes, I understand Springs, that was authorized under Rutherford County, has like an 800 student wait list right now.
Oh, wow. And
that's going in right down the street from Rocky Fork at Enon Springs and Old Nashville Highway. So we don't know how that's going to roll out, because they won't start until August of next year. All 3 that have been authorized are supposed to open in August of 24. So anyway, you kind of look at it, even with the annexes at Smyrna, Oakland, and Riverdale, and the charter schools, it's going to be 24, 25, really, before there's any kind of relief with that.
And yet we're still adding, a student a day in the north end of the county at least. Yeah. So
it's a lot. And we're working on some things to try to shorten that period, shorten that cycle of, talking to the architects and getting things built and everything. So we're trying to get ahead and shorten that cycle so we can. I'm not sure what magic happened with Plainview, but Plainview was purchased and built within a year. And Plainview was a COVID school. It was built during COVID. So they literally broke ground on that and built it within one calendar year. And it's usually about 16 to 24 months.
So I want to bring up something, because you talk about building and adding students and just the whole mass of it all that you have to think about. But the last time you were on, and you mentioned it before we went on the air again, just the sheer number of the thousands of students that will be in the school system in the next short period of time. Would you mind sharing that again? Because I think hopefully that can get our perspective around the huge issue that we have.
And it is. And, the thing is, I'm in this, I eat and breathe this every day. So I see in the neighborhoods where the apartments are going up and where the condos and where, the new neighborhoods are coming. And I'm like, oh, here comes another 300 students. Literally, there was just an article in the DNJ yesterday about right down the street, the new complex that they want to put in.
Keystone Project?
It's the new project, and so we can walk down there.
You're standing in that area,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So I scrolled down, and they said between the two condos and apartments, 330 units. So that really, we calculate 1.3 or 1.5. So that's another, any way you look at it, almost 400 or 500 students just out of that area. And so
that's half of the population of what you would build an elementary school for.
Right, exactly. So this board did a study from RSP, and it was a zoning study that they just finished. We have not talked about publicly. They've just finished, and that's coming. So look for something on that in August. But the facility study and enrollment study. They came and stayed for an entire month, and they went through every single one of our buildings, and they calculated the square footage. There's a lot of data there. It's data rich. It's more than most people need, but they say that we're going to have 7,000 more students between now and 2026. School year of 2026.
That's 3 years, right?
Yes, roughly. Roughly. And I really think it's going to be more because people are just moving here. And the crazy thing about that is the state of Tennessee, the Department of Education, is coming up with a very similar number. So you've got two different agencies who are not related, who maybe draw their information from different sources that are coming up with similar numbers. So, it's a lot. It's a lot. And what people don't understand, just to go into why we have to build more schools, overcrowding is an issue. It leads to behavior issues. And it also restricts learning. And at some point, the federal government could come in. I don't want to say their name. But they could come in because things are overcrowded, and they could either start taking over a school or they start pulling back funds. We don't want to get anywhere near that point, but that's one of the reasons that we're really, really concerned. And, in our larger schools, we need to relieve that pressure because it's hard on our administration. It's hard. You have Rockville, who maybe has two resource officers. Sometimes we need more because we have so many kids and the complexes are so large, you just cannot physically cover that area with one or two SROs. So we are kind of looking at the general consensus of the board is to go to a smaller model. That may mean we need to build one additional school, but it's easier on the staff, and the behavioral problems we're finding are fewer. And probably what we're going to look at is maybe doing more of some alternative schools so we can address those issues maybe a little bit earlier. And by the time they get to high school and everything, that will kind of even out a little bit.
Well, I know that classroom space and a desk for a child is hard to come by, but there are some schools that maybe have a population of that have a few open seats and that kind of thing, and we're just going to kind of go from 7,000 in the next 3 years to you've got to utilize all of those classrooms and those desks for children with the utmost maximize that opportunity. So that may mean some things happening in the fall.
Maybe yes, we are looking at zoning. Zoning is the absolutely last thing that we want to do. But right now we have 150 portables across our district, and I'm not sure how much they were when we started buying them back when we first needed the portables, but they're over $100,000. So they're roughly let's just say $125,000 a piece by the time you get it set down, strapped in, because it's very much like a trailer. You have to have it seated, and then you have to have the electricity ran to it and all that hookup.
But so, you're gonna lose the longevity of that versus a brick and mortar, because after a certain amount of years, it's not going to be reusable.
Really. And God bless Trey Lee. I mean, he's rehabbed and fixed and repaired and patched and skinned, as many times as he can. But if you have a portable that's there and we deploy it to another school because they no longer need it at that school, just moving it puts wear and tear on it.
Sure. Just
moving it is worse probably than having 30 students in that classroom. So, there's all other kind of issues that play into that. And we're trying to get rid of the portables. We would love to get rid of the portables, but we're just at a point where we can't get funding fast enough to build fast enough to cover the seats.
It's a huge challenge, obviously, and I know that we kind of went right on into the challenges that are ahead, but we do want to make sure that we recognize the successes in the first year, and it was Dr. Sullivan's first year at the helm, and
mine as well.
Yeah, that's true. And so congratulations on a great first year. A lot has been accomplished, and I got a few seconds here. The schools, once the new budget is in place, do you expect ground to be broken on the additions at Riverdale and Oakland and Smyrna sometime soon?
So I was just at Smyrna yesterday, and ground is moving. The earth is moving at Smyrna. We spoke a little bit about it last night in general discussion. I spoke with Claire and Caleb. Nothing has been done there yet, but I had received a video from Dr. Sutherland at Smyrna High School, and she said it's happening. So I went by there yesterday and it started raining, so I really didn't get a lot of good video, but they have already started clearing that parking lot out, and so they'll move those portables out, and then they'll build in that space. So Smyrna, it's the stars have aligned for Smyrna, because I have to give a shout out, if it's okay, to Smyrna Ready Mix and Dow Smith, because they just signed a deal with Smyrna High School for a $4.5 million facility at Smyrna High School. So, and it's sports related. Last year Smyrna Ready Mix donated right at $1 million for the turf field. Right. So they have been wonderful to our school system. It's selfish that Dow was my opponent when I first ran, but for many reasons I'm glad that he didn't win, because I don't think that he would have been able to do what he's doing had he been on the board. Our school system has benefited from him as well. Still. And
that shows his heart for
yes,
for the
yes, and we're so thankful for them. And we're looking for I was just at Smyrna Ready Mix last Friday having lunch with a friend, and I was talking to them all, don't y'all want an internship? Don't y'all, let's see what we can do with the school. So, anywhere I go, we're trying to find some kind of CTO program. Laverne, shout out to Laverne High School. They just hired their first welder program, so they're going to have a welding program, and I understand from the teacher, it's Jason Bowers, he's got a full schedule. So a lot of exciting things going on in that. I believe that's our first program, if not our only welding program. I don't quote me on that, but I think that it is. And so I'm excited for Laverne to get that first.
Well, some great things happening. Tammy, I always enjoy our time to catch up with, whether it's you or any of the other school board members that come by. It's important information that impacts a lot of parents and obviously the kids. And thanks for coming in to share. Thank
you for having me. I always talk about it, but the time seems like it flies by so fast, and I've got more to talk about.
Well, we'll catch up with Tammy next time here on Rutherford Issues.
This is Lenny Farmer with Jennings and Ayers Funeral Home. Did you know that